Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. In today's video, I am going to be discussing the fire at the VA's National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis that destroyed some veterans' information. Also, I'm going to discuss what can veterans do to help reconstruct that information, and what is the VA supposed to do as well? Okay, so that was a fire in St. Louis at the National Personnel Records Center. I'm going to tell you the dates and what you can do and what the VA is supposed to do to help reconstruct those records. Now, as I go through this, think about if you receive correspondence from the VA and they stated your records were lost, you can do the same thing, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number one. Here in slide number one, this is from the M21-1 manual, right? Records destroyed in the fire at NPRC. On July 12th, 1973, a fire at the National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis destroyed approximately, but before we get into that, it happened back in 1973. So if you join the military after that, your records are not affected, but they could have been lost, okay? So you still want to pay close attention. Destroyed approximately 80% of the records NPRC held for veterans who were discharged from the Army, okay, between November 1st, 1912 and January 1st, 1960, okay? And 75% of records NPRC held for veterans with surnames beginning alphabetically with Hubert and running through the end of the alphabet, and who were discharged from the Air Force between September 25th, 1947 and January 1st, 1964. And it says exceptions, records for retirees and reservists who were alive on July 12th, 1973 were not involved in the fire. Now, a couple of takeaways from here. They didn't mention the Marines. They didn't mention the Navy. They gave specific dates, okay? Now, you may say, well, I wasn't born until 2020, 2000 or 1995. Okay, it doesn't affect me. You're right, the fire doesn't. But what if you received a correspondence from the VA saying your records are lost, okay? So you still have to do the same thing that veterans, that records were destroyed, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number two. Here's slide number two. This manual M21 reference, okay? It states requesting reconstruction of veterans' medical records, okay? We get into that reconstruction part. Since the records were destroyed, what can we do? What is the VA supposed to do, okay? So it says, follow the steps in the table below if it appears the fire at NPRC might have destroyed medical records pertinent to a pending claim. Now, I had to break this M21 manual reference up into about 3 slides because it was pretty lengthy, and I wanted to share the entire reference with you, okay? So it says, step 1, submit a request for the Veterans Service Treatment Records to NPRC through the Personal Information Exchange System, which is PIES, using request code 050. Now, this step here, this does not concern the veteran. The veteran doesn't have to do anything. Remember, I stated what is the VA supposed to do and what is the veteran supposed to do. We're talking about what the VA is supposed to do. You still need to know this because if you ever get to a point where you're talking with someone, your files were destroyed in the fire or they were lost, okay? So even VSOs, lawyers, if you don't know and you're watching this video, now you know what that VSR, and this is the VSR function. They're supposed to do this as part of the development. And if they don't, guess what type of error it is? DTA error, duty to assist, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 3. Step 2, okay? This involves the veteran. What is the veteran supposed to do? send a letter to the claimant simultaneously. That means when they send that VSR sends that request that is noted in step 1 on the previous slide to NPRC, they're supposed to turn around simultaneously with submitting the PI's request, okay? If one is submitted, the letter must ask the claimant to complete NA Form 13055, request for information needed to reconstruct medical data. Provide evidence VA may use, supplement, or substitute for STRs. So in that letter, they're going to tell you, hey, your records were either destroyed in the fire or they were lost, okay? Fill this form out and send it back. And then they're supposed to tell you, return the form and evidence within 30 days. It is time sensitive, okay? I get a lot of comments, calls, emails from veterans that say, hey, the VA said my records were destroyed in a fire. They lost my records. But they don't tell me that they read this part in that correspondence. You know why? Because more than likely, they didn't read it. Okay? When you get something from the VA, you have to read all that information. If you don't know, ask somebody. If you have a VSO, lawyer, claims agent, ask them if they pick up the phone, and 2, if they know what to do. All right? Some don't, but some do. But at the end of the day, you, the veteran, it is your ultimate responsibility. Let's keep going. Slide number 4. Okay, now this is the last part of the M21 manual reference, okay? So I had to break it up into 4 slides. There's a lot of information. So again, make sure you go out and continue to do your research. Okay, so it says, important, the NA Form 13055 is used to attempt to reconstruct the veteran's medical record based on the disabilities and treatment identified on the form. A NA Form 13055 should be sent for completion anytime a claimant with potentially fire-related records submits a claim for service connection for a new disability or service connection for a disability for which VA previously denied. Okay, now, one thing to keep in mind here, okay? Again, if your records were lost, it's time sensitive, 30 days, all right? This is where investing time to get educated comes into play. And a lot of veterans are saying, hey, my representative is not sharing this information with me. I didn't know. But now you know, because at the end of the day, they stated they're sending that letter to you, not your lawyer or your representative, you, okay? Then it goes on to say, claimant has not returned in a Form 13055, which provides details about the in-service injury, treatment, or information provided was not sufficient, or information provided was not sufficient. So again, what I do is educate veterans, okay? In my videos, I'm sharing these slides with you so you understand. And it states or, not and, but or information provided was not sufficient to submit a request to NPRC to reconstruct medical records. Watch my video on personal statements, okay? So you have to think about what you were treated for in service that was possibly that you can remember that was in those records, okay? I was treated for migraines. I was diagnosed with a back condition. Now, this is years ago, okay? So you may not remember. You're gonna have to take the time, invest the time, sit down, and just think about what happened, incidents where as it pertains to your health while you're on active duty, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 5. Here, this is part of the form, okay? In the M21 manual reference, there's a link that'll get you here, or you can just go to the VA's website, the form site, and you can put in the name of the form and it'll come up, okay? And at the top, I circle request for information needed to reconstruct medical data, okay? Just the first paragraph, it says the medical record needed to answer your request is not in our files. If the record were here on July 12th, 1973, it would have been in the area that suffered the most damage in the fire on the date and may have been destroyed. Okay, so there's 3 paragraphs there. When you get this form, before you even start to complete it, read it. Read it again so you understand it. Okay, that way when you send it back to the VA, it's correct, right? Okay, so that sounds like a lot of information, and it was. So if you're confused by this point, go back and watch the video again. Go back and watch it again, okay? Because I always tell veterans, this is your claim. This is your claim, and you are ultimately responsible, okay? Don't depend on somebody else to go out and do all this research for you. Go out, read it, make sure you understand it, okay? And then you submit that form. And don't forget, VA sends you this form, you have 30 days, okay? Read the entire correspondence, okay? Before you jump on YouTube and start asking different YouTubers that are talking about this topic, what do I do? What do I do? In that correspondence, the VA is supposed to tell you what you are supposed to do and how many days you have to do it, okay? So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.